The second question that we ask when we're trying to classify what type of government we're dealing with is how is power distributed between the national and local governments? Is it a system of government in which there's like one group that makes decisions for all of the people living in your area? Or is it something where there's a group above that makes some decisions and then local communities have the ability to make some decisions as well? If you're talking about the type of government in which there's like a national government that makes all of the decisions for the people, we're really talking about a unitary style of government. England has kind of an example of what a unitary system is. Australia kind of has a unitary system of government where their national government is very much supreme. It makes a large percentage of the decisions, and their like local governments are considerably weaker than like the national government. So if the national government has most of the power, we're really talking about a unitary style of government. On the exact opposite extreme, if the national government is incredibly weak and the state and local authorities have most of the power and decision making capabilities for it, then we're talking about a confederate style of government. Now, like that word should look relatively familiar to you because like there have been two examples in American history of us trying at points, or at least people within our country trying to establish a confederacy. The first time was right after we declared independence from England. We tried to establish a system of government called the Articles of Confederation. We revolted from England because we thought the national government was too powerful and too abusive. So when we established our new system of government, we did the exact opposite. We put almost all the power in the hands of the states. We didn't want to revolt and create the exact same system of government that we just revolted from. Now, eventually, that would fail and it would be replaced by the government we have today, which is based on the Constitution. But then later on in the 1800s, the southern states believed that the national government was becoming too abusive and too powerful again. So they tried to break away and secede from the government and establish their own confederacy. And the government that they established would basically put most of the power back in the hands of the states. We know that also failed, and it's one of the reasons why the Civil War was fought because the southern states broke away. But this is the type of government in which state and local powers are dominant, and the national government's really weak. It doesn't have much power at all. What we have is a blending of the two systems. We took, when we wrote the Constitution, and created like a blend of the Confederate and the unitary models. We have what's called a federal system, and our government's based on federalism. And this is where power is shared between the national government and like local governments. Like we share power. Like both have a considerable amount of power. We obviously have a government that exists in D.C. that has a Congress and President Trump, and they make lots of decisions for the country. Everybody has to follow those rules. But then we also allow our state officials to decide rules for the people that live in that state. We allow county officials to decide rules for the people living in that county. Then we even let like even more local people, like township people, decide what the specific rules are going to be for people living in that township. So our system is a federal system where we share power between the national government and state and local authorities.